D checking in here. I want to talk about the verses that happened October 25th between No Limit Records, Cash Money Records. Now, the history between these two New Orleans juggernauts is very, very deep. And honestly, as a person who grew up in the South, Atlanta, Georgia to be exact, in the 90s, understanding how powerful that No Limit movement was, and when Cash Money came and kind of took some wind out of No Limit sales or whatnot, it's very interesting to see these two worlds collide on a versus stage. Now, there are a few things, and I want to break down this whole thing. We're going to talk about the tracks. We want to talk about the setting. I want to talk about who was there, who was not there, and honestly, the way versus has changed over, I would say, over the course of since its origins. I mean, but there's been a huge, huge break in between this versus and the most recent verses. But it's no longer about just playing your tracks. It's actually about performing your tracks. And for what we saw in the Locks and Dipset Madison Square Garden versus a few years back, performance is everything, especially when you actually are playing to an audience. Now, to speak to that Locks and Dipset versus, it was actually an audience, a live audience that is, that could really appreciate it, right? It was in New York City, it's in Madison Square Garden. I don't really know about the age demos, but I'm sure that people who appreciated those two collectives to the highest degree made sure that they were in the building. Now, there are issues with Complex Con, well, versus or the people who are over versus. I don't know if it's Swiss and Tim, but just for the sake of this conversation, let's just say Swiss and Tim, right? The choice of actually holding this at Complex Con on the surface and in a vacuum sounds good. Makes sense, right? It's in Vegas, whatever. And Complex does a great job with Complex Con. But for us who are watching it at home, watching it on Apple Music or whatever platform you watched it on or could watch it on, that's a whole nother conversation for possibly a different day. When you see the audience not knowing the words to some of these songs or damn near all of the songs, and you think about it, like the audience is the Complex Con audience. So that's probably a 25 and under demo. And these records are 30 to 20, 25 to 30 years old. So I don't expect the people in the audience to know Bourbons and Lacs and things like that. But I do think that for the viewing audience and for the show in general, and even the energy that the artists were probably going to get on stage, it would have benefited the two collectives for this to be in New Orleans and for them to find a way for this to be in New Orleans. But again, it didn't happen that way. And it looks, my thing is, if you're going to bring in big sponsors like Complex, and if Complex and Apple Music are paying for this thing, you can't have situations where Turk's not there, and you can't have situations where Wayne's not there. And you also can't have a situation where only 13 songs were played from each label when we're used to the format being 2020. What happened to the format, right? Are we still going 20 songs down or not? And that changes things. And I'm going to get to the part where Cash Money didn't even play high. Now, I would love to hear from Manny Fresh because it seems like Manny Fresh was probably the person picking the songs on Cash Money's end. But I know how important High is to Cash Money. And I think that High, in my personal opinion, is a top 50 hip hop song all time because it did launch Cash Money Records. So I do believe that that was part of the plan for that song to be played. But the fact that they ran out of time, they couldn't play that song. So that, again, that's a versus issue, right? Turk and Wayne, I don't know. I mean, Turk said that he wasn't invited or whatever, but in my personal opinion, if Versus is going to choose the venue and going to choose to connect themselves to Complex and Apple Music, I think it's on because Versus is acting as a promoter. Let's be perfectly honest, right? You got promoters, you got sponsors. It's on the promoter to make sure that the talent is in the building. So Wayne not being there, I know it's easy to blame Birdman or whatever for this, but to me, I think that's a Versus issue, right? I think that Versus didn't do a good job of making sure all the main players were there that could be there, that weren't incarcerated or whatever, and you didn't make sure that the rules were set for either the talent and the audience. Are we doing 20 songs? Or are we doing 13 songs? Right? And I'm gonna get to all of that too. We're gonna go song for song. And just how unorganized something like this was that is being put on by not only Swiss and Tim, Apple Music, and Complex. And you know everybody is there to watch that. And you wanted everybody to watch that at the same time. Are we not doing 20 songs or are we doing 20 songs? And again, this lack of organization, communication, or whatever, it was to Cash Money's detriment. Now, on the other side, No Limit Records they came with the smoke, man. They came in to show out. They did that. They came in full uniform. They were unified. Mia X was the X Factor. She was the MVP of this whole thing. She showed that it's very disrespectful for us to even have female MC conversations and her not even be mentioned, which happens all the time. Now, I do think that she's probably been stifled with the No Limit catalog and working with that No Limit sound and not being able to branch out on a mainstream level like some of her, female rap peers. But if we're looking at talent and we're looking at, just a skill set, performance, she was Jada Kiss in the Garden out there last night. She pulled it together. She is the heart and soul of No Limit Records. And if you looked at their documentary, she had a lot to do with bringing everybody to the table, as far as Beats by the Pound, KLC, and all of that. Because P was doing the West Coast Bad Boys in Sacramento. When he moved back home to New Orleans, she was integral in pulling that whole collective together and getting that New Orleans sound and that New Orleans bounce rather. But anyway, No Limit came to perform. And like I said, since Versus has changed into more of a performance format, No Limit stomped Cash Money. And Cash Money not having Turk and Wayne most blaringly, it was very difficult, and it put a lot on Juvenile to go out there and be Juvenile, and Juvenile didn't even get a chance to do High, which is crazy. So let's go through this track list real quick, because I will have it on the side of this video. So this is how I'm scoring it, and it's very different, and that's why I wanted to kind of paint that picture initially before I just go into the songs, because Versus has changed. If this was the Versus of 2020, where an artist just presses play and you're playing one song against the other, we're having a whole different conversation. But I'm going to score winners based on what was right for the audience. And when I say the audience, I'm talking about the home audience, right? First thing from Cash Money was 400 Degrees. That was a surprise for me. I thought they were going to go high first. I would have went high first. But I would have went high first, back that ass up last. That's how I would have done it, straight up. Oh, and we didn't get Big Ballin' either, which is crazy. Anyway, starts off with 400 Degrees. Love the record. In my personal opinion, I would probably play it in my car over No Limit Soldiers by TRU. But if you were around when No Limit Soldiers came out and as an opening track, and when they performed them back to back, I'm going to give the nod to No Limit Soldiers. That's the point. So 400 Degrees performance, No Limit Soldiers performance, I'm going No Limit Soldiers. That's 1 point for No Limit, right? Still Fly, break them off something. Listen, man. No disrespect to Still Fly, but whether it's press and play or performance or whatever, I was disappointed that Bun B wasn't there to perform his verse, but that's break them off something easy, in my personal opinion. Then we got Project Bitch and Free Coast. Never was a big fan of Project Bitch. Never was. I think that was towards the end of Cash Money. And well, not the end of Cash Money, because they're still here. but just that Cash Money Millionaire movement that we loved so much and that people fell in love with. It felt like things were kind of falling apart during that point. And No Limit came out with Freak Hoes, and I just think Freak Hoes was just the better song to perform. Um, I will say this: where we have Mia X being the X Factor and being the MVP out there, and I say this respectfully, I don't want to piss anybody off because I've defended this MC. Silk was throwing people off. And I will say this about Silk the Shock. I always have applauded his originality and his ability to go out there and dare to be different with his style because I'm sure he could rap on beat, on time, or whatever if he wanted to. But he chose to have a different flow, different style. I don't know if it's E40 influence or whatever from their time in the Bay or if he spent time in the Bay, but his style is super unorthodox. And when it comes to connectivity on stage, and especially as long as his verses are, it could throw people off. And I think it almost did that a couple of times, to be honest, if we're talking about performance. But um, not to get on that soapbox yet, I'm still gonna go Free Code. So I got round one going to No Limit, round two going to No Limit, and I got round three going to No Limit. Now, Rich Niggas, one of my favorite Cash Money songs, period. I How you do that there is a banger, but I'm gonna go Rich Niggas. So I got 1 point for Cash Money right there. Slow Motion. Yeah, I could tell. I think those are good matchups. Never was a huge Slow Motion fan, but Slow Motion is a hit and it gets the party going. And Soulja Slim did his thing, and it was a great um, tribute to him. Juvenile came with the freestyle at the end as well. So I'm gonna go Slow Motion with that. Actually, no, I'm sorry, I skipped over one. Um, Keep that point. But anyway, Cash Money is an army and Bourbons and Lax. Now, I think most people love Bourbons and Lax over Cash Money as an army, but I'm gonna be somewhat biased here. Cash Money as an army is one of my favorite Cash Money records, and it's one of my favorite Manny Fresh beats. So I'm gonna pick Cash Money as an army over that. So what we got right now? I'm 3-3 right now, actually. And I think both labels actually held back because again, the time constraints and a lot of the rules weren't very clear, and they were missing individuals. So anyway, we're 3-3. Bling Bling, it ain't my fault. I'm gonna go Bling Bling there. Bling Bling is Bling Bling. But again, Birdman wasn't in pocket with his performance. But again, he's going up against Silk the Shaka and Ain't My Fault. So that doesn't really factor in here, right? And then you don't have Turk or you don't have Wayne to either do either verse of Bling Bling, and then you're skipping a verse and going to BG's verse or whatnot, kind of loses momentum for people who know the song. Um, but I'm still gonna go Bling Bling on that. And Set It Off and Mr. Ice Cream, man. Listen, man. Set It Off is not fucking with Mr. Ice Cream, man. See, when Master P gets into that chamber of No Limit, these are the things that made No Limit the juggernaut that it became. And Set It Off is towards the end of that Cash Money Millionaire era where things that wane off. And this right here is like the the stuff that actually got Master P over and made Master P who he is. So it's no comparison. Number One Stunner. I love that record. It's one of my favorite Cash Money records as well. It would be in my top 10. But that's going up against Body Body. And listen, man. Body Body. I feel like there are these two labels have three possible top 50 hip hop songs all time in their catalog. And Body Body's one of those. I think you got High Body and Back That Ass Up. And Body Body is special. And Number One Stunner, as much as I love that record and love that beat from Fresh, it's not fucking with it at all. So that's Body Body. It's a whole different energy. Then Get Your Roll On and Make Them Say, Make Them Say, is a way bigger record than Get Your Roll. It's not even a conversation. And I like Get Your Roll On a lot, but nah, it's not. This one was interesting. I Need a Hot Girl and Chopper Style. This is where performance comes in at. I would say like I Need a Hot Girl better, but the performance of Chopper Style, if if these two songs are even kill, which I think they could be, we're gonna have to lean on performance. And the performance of Chopper Style and how it was presented and the energy that it brought to the building and the people at home, I have to give it that. And this is what No Limit did the whole night. They outperformed. Again, this is the Locks and Dipset, same type of concept, right? Um, so I'm gonna go Chopper Style with that. Again, a milli and Down for My Niggas. A milli shouldn't have even been played. Wayne wasn't in the building. A milli's not really even a part of the Cash Money that we're talking about from the era of, Cash Money and No Limit. And again, Wayne wasn't there to do it. Like, if you want to do The Block is Hot, that fits in that era, but I wouldn't do that either because Wayne's not there. High should have been done in that place. I don't think they knew how much time they had. I don't think they knew how many songs they could play. I also believe that there weren't any clear rules or parameters around how long each performance needed to be. So again, all of these things are versus issues, man. Like, I don't understand what versus even did based on the shit show that I saw out there that could have possibly. And it was great because these guys have great catalogs, man. These two labels have incredible catalogs, so it was great for that. But this could have been so much better if they actually did the work. Versus didn't do the work here, man. Let's just be real about it. Take it however you want it, but it's very clear the Versus didn't do the work. I don't want to get on that soapbox yet, but anyway, a milli shouldn't have been played at all. Wayne's not there. A milli's not a part of that Cash Money era. And then you have Master P bringing out the great, all-time great, hip hop's biggest superstar, in my personal opinion, Snoop Dogg, to do Down for My Niggas. That wins in that situation. Down for My Niggas is a classic No Limit record from a classic No Limit period. And Wayne's not even in the building. Why did you even play that? Put High up against that or something. But anyway, okay. And so back that thing up, in my opinion, since No Limit wasn't able to even answer that, back that thing up is null and void. You just lost a round or, had a round that didn't even count because you either didn't know the rules, you ran out of time, and you misused a milli. And I don't understand. All right, but anyway, let me keep track. Let me keep the score here. So what? We got No Limit Soldiers. I got that one winning, right? Break 'em Off one. Freak Hoes one. Then we got Rich Niggas one. Boom. Then you got Cash Money is the Army, of course. Slow Motion. Still went Bling Bling. They got 4 in a row on their ass. And then here comes Mr. Ice Cream Man. Here comes Body Body. Here comes Make 'em Say Here comes Chopper Style. And here comes Down for My Niggas. I had No Limit beating Cash Money at a score of 8-4. And again, we have to make Versus has to make it clear. Are we playing 20 songs anymore? How long are these sets? No one told anybody how long this was going to be. Obviously, the people on stage didn't even know how long the show was going to be. They're talking about Manny Fresh talking about some. They're saying that I got 4 minutes or we got 4 minutes, and these guys hadn't played High yet, hadn't played Big Ballin' yet. Guess they just throw out a milli or whatever, and then that's No Limit. They left a lot on the table too, but Master P and No Limit, KLC, whoever was doing the arranging of this, they did a great job of going for the kill throughout. Because when I heard about it, I was like, oh shoot, he let one go early, but it wasn't early. We're almost done here. Cash Money also showed us that, Wayne, as huge as Wayne has become and one of the biggest figures we've ever seen in hip hop, he doesn't seem to value that part of his career. Wayne wasn't in the building. Again, Turk wasn't in the building. And when it came to the No Limit side of things, everybody came through and everybody showed love and everybody understood it was a big deal. Even Snoop Dogg. I didn't expect to see Snoop Dogg on the stage, and to me, it speaks volumes. This Snoop Dogg shows up for No Limit and Master P, and Wayne doesn't show up for Cash Money. I will give credit to Juvenile. He tried to pull a Cam and really pull his team out. That really wasn't taking the performance side of things serious, but Mia X was just too much. Mia X was doing it all, man. She put No Limit on her back last night, and I'm glad people were able to see that, including myself. Mia X needs to be in these conversations, and when it comes to skills and all that, she never lacked that. And I've always said that Gangsta Boo is probably, not probably, I always said Gangsta Boo is the most underrated female MC in hip hop. I'm gonna have to change that. It's definitely Mia X. And respect to Gangsta Boo. I love Gangsta Boo, man. Rest in peace to her and what she was able to do in 3-6 Mafia. But Mia X, man, to perform like that, 55 years old, and outperform everybody on stage and make all those things translate, make those lyrics from 25 to 30 plus years ago translate. And I think Master P understood how important she was. I don't know if it was that Essence Fest thing or whatever. And probably even before that, I know Master P understands how important Mia X is. But the records that they chose, they made sure that Mia X shine. And man, they went out there to win. And they came out there prepared and ready to go out there and show that they are the label of New Orleans and make people understand why Master P and No Limit were running the game in the time period that they were. They got strong records. And to me, what it also showed is I think that many of No Limit records aged better. The rapping was better, rap performance was better. I mean, again, you got Mac out there, you got Fiend out there, and they're really performing. And it also showed that Cash Money leaned on some of the hits that were a lot more fluff than they were some of their best records. To play Project Bitch and not play Ha or Big Ballin' is mind-boggling to me. And I think Cash Money leaned on those numbers and not lean to the core. The only way you're going to win a versus or, these matchups, whatever you want to call it, is to actually play those records that the core loves, the streets love. Those street records are going to go way further than those radio records. That's just my opinion. Hit like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, man. How did y'all score it? Did y'all watch it? I want to know the good, bad, and the ugly from you guys as well. Hit like and subscribe, and I can't wait to read those comments. All right.